Welcome all of you. Is this slide visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So today I'm gonna discuss about the 8051 microcontroller. So last few days we have already discussed the different microprocessors, and now it is time to discuss the microcontroller, which is the most important part in our daily life. Like all of you have used the devices based on the microcontroller. So all of you know the difference between the microprocessor and microcontroller. I have discussed this one the first day of my lecture. So what is microcontroller? It's a one type of device, integrated circuit, where microprocessor along with the other peripherals and memory devices are attached. Some other IO devices are attached, and along with the total IC is called the microcontroller. Okay. Now, in case of microprocessor, what was it? The different parts, like except the microprocessor, all other peripherals and the memory devices, those are external to the processor. But here, uh, microcontroller, everything is inside uh, within this chip. That's why it is called a microcontroller. And why it is so called controller? Because this is used to control certain operation. Okay, certain function, a specific function has to be maintained, and that's why it is used in embedded system. Okay, embedded systems. Now, in your according to your syllabus, you have only 8-bit microcontroller right now, or starting point, which is 8-bit microcontroller, which is 8051 IC by Intel. Okay, so let's start with the 8051 microcontroller. So first, there are certain features I need to discuss about this 8051 microcontroller. The salient features are actually Okay, now before discussing the feature, some of the examples those are used uh, in our everyday life. Microcontroller based devices, these are computer printer, Xerox machines, fax machines, telephones, automobiles, and electronic instruments, different oscilloscopes, multimeters, IC testers, in your home appliances like fridge, TV, washing machine, mobile phone, everywhere these microcontrollers are used. Okay. So there are different variants in microcontroller. Now one is that is called the MCS51 series microcontroller. MCS51 that is based on the 8-bit and 16-bit configuration, and now I will discuss only 8-bit variant here. Okay, not the 16-bit. I will discuss the 8-bit variant, which is in this case 8051. Okay, microcontroller. Now here, that is the diagram. Look at this diagram and this table. Different variants are available. Like in case of 8031, it's a 8. It's a its data bus is 8-bit. RAM is 128 bytes. There is no ROM, so external ROM must be connected. But in 8051, which is the first successful 8-bit microcontroller by Intel Corporation, it's an 8-bit microprocessor along with 8-bit data bus, and the RAM capacity is 128 bytes along with on chip 4 kilobytes ROM. Okay. Different variants are available as 8751, 8052, 8752B. So just it's a look of this uh, series. You don't need to consider the other microcontrollers rather than the 8051, because according to your syllabus only 8051 is available. Okay, so I will discuss the 8051 microcontroller now, and these are the features, salient features of 8051 microcontroller. So it's a complete system along with is built on a single chip or IC, and it contains everything like CPU, memories, yes, IO ports, and the timer, counter on a single IC. So a microcontroller saves basically the cost, saves power consumption also, and makes the circuit more compact and simple. Okay, because if every components are situated in a single IC, that means your cost must be minimized. Because in case of microprocessor based system, what we need to implement, we need to implement other components like memories to be external of the processor. We need to install or interface the IO circuits, IO peripheral devices, timer circuit, timer and counter circuits are ADC, DAC, like these type of peripherals, IO devices must be connected externally. So the cost will be high, and the system circuit complexity, circuit will be more complex. So that's why to minimize these type of parameters, the cost, the circuit complexity, and also it saves the power consumption, we need to implement a microcontroller based system. Okay, so everywhere it is used. Like in the remote controllers, I have given some of the examples, like remote controllers, refrigerators, microwave oven, modems, TV, TV, washing machine, so everywhere. 8051, it's basically an 8-bit microcontroller which has 8-bit ALU. That means all the arithmetic and logical operations are performed under this ALU, and the operations are basically 8-bit operations. Okay, and 8051 has 8-bit data bus, so the external data transfer will be of 8-bit in one cycle. 8 bits of one cycle in one cycle. It has also the internal ROM of 4 kilobyte to store the program, uh, and it has the internal RAM of 128 bytes used for storing data. Because all these microcontroller based devices are specific to a particular, are used for a specific function. Okay, not that much programs or applications must be installed inside this. So the memory size must be reduced. Okay, so you don't need, so here in 8051 4 kilobyte of ROM is enough. Okay, to implement a system or to operate a system or any function, or 128 bytes of RAM is enough to implement any process using microcontroller. Since program memory and data memory are separate, now it follows the architecture which is based on Harvard architecture. Okay, in case of von Neumann architecture, what happened? Everything means the program and data are situated in a single portion of the memory. Okay, so here that is the difference between von Neumann architecture and Harvard architecture. So von Neumann architecture is basically followed by microprocessor. 8085, 8086 microprocessors are implemented using the von Neumann architecture concept. But here in 8051 microcontroller, the Harvard architecture is followed, which has separate program memory. Means your programming codes will be saved on ROM only, and data are used in RAM only. Okay, so these ROM and RAM, these are separated as a separate memory portion, and are connected via the buses. So anytime program can be executed using single bus, and another bus is used for your data. Okay, from the different location. So that's why program memory is called the ROM and data memory is called the RAM. The next point, the next feature is there are 4 8-bit bidirectional IO ports are available to connect the keyboards, like any display, any input output device can be configured. Okay, and these ports has also the alternate function, like these ports are basically used as dual purpose mode. So alternate functions like multiplex address and data buses and the control signals must be implemented using these IO ports also. And next feature is it has the serial port for long distance communication. So that's why serial port uh, is available, which can perform both synchronous and asynchronous data transfer. And it has two 16-bit timers or counters which act as up counter, which acts as up counter. Okay, and they are generally used to produce the hardware delay for counting of external process or external events. Now there are 5 interrupts operating at 2 priority levels, which can be generated internally as well as externally. So total 5 interrupts are available. And 8051 has 2 power saving modes like idle mode and power down mode. Uh, Another features are it has internal memory up to 60. So in addition of internal memory, you have internal memory of 4 kilobyte ROM and 128 bytes of RAM. uh, but also you have to connect external memories to them, like maximum 64 kilobytes of external RAM or external ROM can be connected. Okay, so that these memories can be addressed by a 16-bit address bus. It's a 40-pin IC which operates on 12 megahertz frequency. It has on-chip oscillator, so that the 12 megahertz frequency will be generated. So these are the basic or the salient features of 8051. Now coming to the block diagram of 8051 microcontroller. So here is your block diagram simplified block diagram where ALU circuit is available, different registers like A register or accumulator, B register is available, program counter, data pointer, DPTR, data pointer, which is 16-bit register that can be available as 8-bit higher, 8-bit lower, DPH, DPL. So it is called DPTR, data pointer. PSW register is available, special function registers are also available, ROM is available, and this is the RAM portion. And these are 4 ports, port 0, port 1, port 2, and port 3. So basically these port 0 and port 2, these are multiplex. Port 0 is multiplex address and data bus, which is the port 2 as single 8-bit address bus. Totally 16-bit address bus is available, and 8 data buses are available. Port 3 can be used for different purposes. So all these 4 ports are can be used as input output port, or it has dual function. Like for port 0, it can be used as input output port as well as for address, multiplex address and data bus transfer operation. But this AD0 to AD7 or A8 to A15, that can be processed only if any external memory is connected to this microcontroller. Otherwise it has no function. The ports can be used for input output connection. Okay, so multiplex address and data bus and this A8 to A15, these are only applicable for external memory operation. Okay. So in case of port 3 also, it's IO device, IO port, sorry, IO port, but that can be used for interrupt purpose or counter purpose or read or write operation purpose or for serial data transmission purpose. And port 1 has no other function. It is only dedicated for input output configuration. Okay, so here the block diagram is given in this way. So the every block should be discussed one by one. The first one is the ALU, where arithmetic and logic unit is available, which is perform the 8-bit arithmetic and logic operations. Like, as for example, suppose I have written add a comma r0. Okay, so r0, it's a one type of register, 8-bit register r0. So add a comma r0 means adds contents of a register and r0 register and store the result in a register. So if you have a pen and paper with you, please write down if it is possible. Add a comma r0, that means add the content of a register and r0 register and stores the result in a register. So these type of operation can be performed using ALU, addition, or logical operations like and or the complement functions also can be implemented here in this block. Next is the A register. It's called the accumulator. It's an 8-bit register, and A register holds the first operand, and for any arithmetic and logic operation, it holds the first operand, and the result, it must be used to store the result also. Moreover, it is only registered to be used for data transfer to and from external memory. To and from external memory. Okay, data transfer can be takes place using this A register. It's a very, very important register among all other register. It's a special purpose register also. B register, that register is used for multiplication and division purpose, because to get one data byte, you need to store it in B register, and always the result of multiplication, the higher byte will be stored. Suppose the result of 8-bit multiplication is 16-bit. Okay, so the upper 8-bit or higher 8-bit will be stored inside B register, and automatically the lower 8-bit will be stored inside A register. So total 16-bit result must be stored inside A and B register. And also in case of division, B register holds the remainder part. Okay, and quotient part will be stored in A. And next is the program counter, which is a 16-bit. So here, look at this. So this is the program counter. Program counter, it's a 16-bit register. It holds the address of the next instruction in program memory. Actually, program counter, what happens in we have seen in microprocessor 8085 or 8085. What happened? Program counter always incremented by one to get the next instruction address which must be faced. So that's what makes the program move ahead in a sequential manner. Okay, so in the case of branch, a new address is loaded into the PC. So in case of branching instruction, it will be always loaded the new address. Next is the DPTR, which is called the data pointer. It's a 16-bit register and it holds the address data in data memory, or for a data memory for RAM. Okay, it holds the address data in data memory, which is RAM address must be stored. DPTR is actually divided into two registers, which is DPH and DPL. DPH is a higher byte and DPL means lower byte. And it is typically used by the programmer to transfer data from external RAM. Now, where it is used as a pointer. Example is it is used as a pointer to a lookup table in ROM using indexed addressing mode. Okay, so it can be used in ROM also, where some lookup table has to be stored and it points that lookup table address. Next is the stack pointer. Stack pointer, it is an 8-bit register stack pointer. So actually it is not given here in this block diagram. So what is it? The stack pointer, um, it's an 8-bit register. 8-bit register. Now it contains the address of the top of the stack. Okay, now stack is present in the internal RAM. So here in this position, it is the internal RAM, 128 bytes. So 128 bytes means from 00, the address must be 00 to 7. 128 bytes means 2 to the power 7. 2 to the power 7 equals to 128 byte. Okay, so 2 to the power 7 means 7, that is the number of address lines. Okay, but we have already performed every operation either 8-bit or 16-bit. So either 8-bit data or 16-bit data, or address, all the addresses are assigned as 16-bit. So here if it is required 7 bits, we have to convert it into 8-bit. Now you can write it down as A0, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6. These are 7 bits. Okay, so all these must be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And if you have in so it will be started from all zeros to all ones. Okay, so the minimum address or the starting address of this memory location, 128 bytes memory location, will be all zeros to all ones, from A0 to A6 address bits. Okay, now this is 7-bit code. So 7-bit code is not accessible or not used by any programmer. So that's why for easiest calculation purpose or for easiest designing purpose, we have to convert it into 8-bit form. Okay, so we have to implement another address bit which is called A7-bit. So if we have add A7-bit with this A0 to A6 along with A7. Now A7 is not connected to anywhere, so it must be 0 every time. So from initial position to the last one, A7-bit must be 0, and all other bits like A0 to A6, the initial will be all zeros and the final location will be all ones. So what will be the address range in 8-bit form? The initial address will be 00 and the ending address will be 7F. Okay, so the total 128 byte is available in this area. Look into this picture. So 120 byte internal RAM is available, where this internal RAM, it is used to store certain registers, some bit addressable area, or general purpose area where this can be used for programming purpose. Okay, So your stack memory location will be implemented here, because we know that stack is a group of memory location in RAM. Okay, so if it has on chip 128 bytes RAM, then that stack memory location should be anywhere in this 128 byte RAM. But there will be problem if it is anywhere in this memory range. So certain registers will be blocked, may be blocked. So that's why Intel has fixed the position of your stack. So Intel fix the position as 0, 7. So always stack is initialized with 0, 7, and and uh, uh, so it is affected when any push and pop instruction will be executed. So if any push instruction is executed, during a push instruction, the stack pointer will be incremented by 1. Okay, that is opposite to 8085 microprocessor operation. So now in case of 8085, what was the application? Like every time when you need to push any data bytes onto the stack, your stack pointer must be decremented by. Okay, so your register pair will be entered by decrementing to stack pointer memory location. Here in case of microcontroller, it is opposite. Your stack pointer will be incremented by 1 when during any push operation, and stack pointer must be decremented by 1 if any pop operation is to be performed. Okay, so during push, stack pointer will be incremented. So if stack pointer is initialized as 0, 7 by default, what will be the location where first data must be pushed? That will be 0, 8. And in this way it will be incrementing order, 0, 8, 0, 9, 0A, 0B, in this way up to maximum 7F is available. So from 0, 7, from 0, 7 to 7F, you can use any memory location for your stack operation. Is it clear? So every time for push, during a push, stack pointer must incremented by 1, and during a pop, stack pointer must be decremented by 1. Next is the PSW register, that is the program status word, and here program status word, it's an 8-bit register, which is also called a flag register. Program status word is also called flag register, which contains the status of each flag. So it actually gives the status of your current result, and they are changed by the ALU after every arithmetic or logic operation, and that flag can be changed by the programmer also. Okay, so programmer can also change the bit status. So PSW is a bit addressable register. PSW is a bit addressable register, like here in this case. So look into this. This is the PSW register, flag register format, which is called PSW.0, PSW.1, PSW.2, PSW.3, PSW.4, PSW.5, PSW.6, and PSW.7. This is called bit addressable. Now you can use this PSW.0 to 0.7 for your instruction execution in this way. Here is an example, like set B PSW.3. That means PSW.3 bit must be set. This will be 1. So if this instruction is being executed by the microcontroller, the corresponding bit will be 1. In the same way, if CLR PSW.4 is given, CLR PSW.4, that means this bit must be 0. Okay, so programmer can set or reset any bit of PSW or flag register of 8051 microcontroller. Okay, so that's why it is called bit addressable register. Bit addressable is, and the bit addresses are PSW.0, 0.1, and all the way up to 0.7, PSW.7. Okay, so individual flags are available. we will discuss later about these flags. Now look into this diagram. So internal memory is also there. Internal memory, RAM and ROM. We will discuss later the RAM and ROM structure. But initially, internal RAM, the size is 128 bytes, so that is 0027F. And internal ROM, it has 4 kilobyte. That means 4K means 12 address lines are available. 2 to the power 12 equals to 4K. So 12 address lines are there. And if it is 12 address lines, so the starting address will be 000 and the ending address is FFF. So 12 address must be converted into a 16-bit address. Then the starting address will be 0000 and ending address will be 0FFF. Clear? So that is the memory range of 4 kilobyte internal on-chip ROM. So different IO components are also available, means IO ports. I have already discussed that port 0, port 1, port 2 and port 3. And two 16-bit timers are also there. And serial ports are available. And finally, there are 21 here in this diagram. In this diagram, these are all called special function registers. These are all called special function register. So 128 bytes are available as internal RAM, and another 128 bytes are available to store the addresses of these special function registers. Okay, like in microcontroller, 8051 microcontroller, no individual or separate registers are available as this IE, IP, PCON, SBUF, SCON, TCON. Okay, because here, like in case of microprocessor 8085, individual registers are available. A, B, C, D, E, H, L. All these are separate registers. But why these are implemented? Because the memory at that time, that is external. But here in 8051 microcontroller, the memory is internal. So why you need to implement the separate registers? Whereas these memories can be used to store certain, both are same registers and memory. So internal registers are actually one type of memory which can store the data byte, okay, for faster execution. So that's why in 8051 everything is inside that chip. The memories are inside that chip. So why you need to create such separate registers? So rather it is implemented into the memory. 128 another space is available to act as a register, or both can be used, or this can be used for memory also. So it has certain addresses. So every register, the special function SFRs are called special function registers. So there are 21 special function registers whose name is there. You can operate the register using their name as well as their addresses. Okay, certain addresses are available, as well as certain registers has bit addressable, means full register you don't need to use. You have to use certain bit of that register. It's all these are 8-bit registers. So suppose if you want to control only the bit uh, 2 and bit 3, you don't need to use the full 8-bit register. Only the bit position 2 and bit position 3 you need to access. In that case, you can access it by using the register bit address. So if so some of the registers has bit addresses through which you can control the operation. So that's why these registers are also called bit addressable registers. Not the full SFRs are available for bit addressable purpose. Certain registers are available for bit addressable purpose. Okay. So that is the block diagram. Now move on to the next slide, which is based on the architecture. So here is the architecture diagram. So look into this diagram, architecture diagram. So very carefully, this is very important. Listen carefully about the architecture, how it operates. So here you can check it using, there are two pins, VCC and ground pins are available. So 5-volt supply has to be given here, given in this position, so that it can access the required number of data bytes to process any operation. Okay. Now for now four pins are available here, which is called the program store enable pin, ALE pin, external access pin, reset pin, and other ports are available. So here pin numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there are two crystal pins or crystal oscillator pins, which is XTEL 1, XTEL 2, through which the crystal is connected. The crystal frequency is to be given by this connection, and another ports are available like port 0, port 2, port 1, and port 3. 8-bit ports are available. So here 8 pins are available for port 0, 8 pins are available for port 2, 8 pins are available for port 1 as well as for port 3. So how many pins are available using these 4 ports? 32. So it's a 40 pin IC. 32 pins are available using these ports, and another 8 pins are available as VCC, ground, these 4 pins, and these 2 pins. Total 40 pins are available. Okay. Now look into the components, several components inside this IC. So first of all, this is the RAM. This is the RAM. 128 bytes RAM is available. The starting address is 00 and ending address is 7F. So if microprocessor wants to access any data byte from any memory location, so that can be given in this way. This bus is available, bidirectional bus is available through this internal data bus, and the instruction or whatever data must be fetched, and it is coming in this way, and it stores into the instruction register. Then it goes to the timing and control unit for decoding and execution purpose. Okay. So to give the proper address, 8-bit address, so that's why this 8-bit bus is to be connected here in this position. Now 8-bit address must be given by this RAM address register. So it have so the every RAM address which is 0027F, every address must be given by this RAM address register, so that the required number of data bytes can be fetched from the specified memory location, 8-bit memory location, and it moves or transfer through this bus. Okay. Another is here the ROM. Okay. So ROM, 4 kilobyte on chip ROM is available. So 4 kilobyte means the starting address will be 0000 if it is in 16-bit form. So 0000 and 0FFF. Okay. That is to be connected here, and if any data byte is to be not the data byte, actually it is here in this position only program or instructions must be written, stored, and here in this all the data bytes, temporary data or the permanent data, whatever your data byte must be stored here in this position. So the program which cannot be altered anytime, okay, cannot be altered, So that system program must be stored inside this ROM, so that the instruction should be fetched in this way by the microcontroller, and it gives to this bus, so that it goes into the instruction register. Then from instruction register it goes to the instruction decoder circuit for decoding purpose, and then it is ready for execution through this timing and control unit. Okay, so that address, that must be supplied by some register which is called program address register. So program address register basically gives the memory address where from where the instruction must be fetched. So basically, how this program address register get this address? It is getting the address from the program counter. Actually, initially, every operation starts from the program counter. So program counter holds the next instruction address from where the next instruction must be fetched. So initially, when first you need to start your microcontroller, you give the power signal, then it starts the execution from the 0000 initial memory location. So it's a 16-bit register which can stores the 16-bit address of the memory location, and that instruction address must be given through this way, this bus, to the program address register, and then program address register gives to the ROM, so that the required number of instruction must be fetched, and it is given and it is transferred through this bus. Okay, now after fetching the first instruction, the next instruction, to get the next instruction, program counter must be incremented by 1, and that increment operation is performed here in this block, which is called PC incrementer. PC incrementer, which increments the memory location by 1 every time. So it takes the value of the current address, and it is incremented by 1, so it gives the address to the program counter. Then program counter gives that particular address to the program address register, and it gives to the memory, and from there the instruction must be fetched. So in this way, the corresponding sequential instruction must be fetched one by one. Okay, so what after that, so every time the instruction must be fetched, and then if it requires to fetch the operands or the data part, that data must be fetched in this way. So data can be given either uh, directly, or it can be given from the memory. So that's why there are two main registers are important registers are available, which is called A register, and means the accumulator, and the B register. So data can be given in this way from these registers also, and data can be given from the RAM also. So that's why here is your ALU unit, where arithmetic and logical operations can be performed. So one data byte which is given by the either accumulator, or it can be given from the any register like B register, or it can be given from the memory location also. So there are two blocks called temporary 1, temporary 2, by which the two inputs must be given to the ALU circuit, so that ALU performs the required operation and it generates the result, and that result should be given in this way, this bus. And timing and control unit informs the everyone whenever it is required to get to store the result. It if after generation the result is here given here, and it informs if accumulator needs to store the result, it informs the accumulator to get the result. So the result will be transferred in this way, and it stores inside accumulator. Or if it needs to store it inside B register, then timing and control gives the signal to the B register to catch that, to hold that data. So in this way, the required number of result must be stored in specified register, as well as when any result is generated by the ALU circuit, what happens? The program status word must be changed, and it affects the required number of flags, because it has certain flags, and according to the current result, the required number of flags must be either set or reset. So here PSW also affected by the ALU operation. Here next is the ports are available: port 0, port 2, port 3, and port 1, where latches are connected and the drivers are connected. Now latches are used to hold the data byte, and it is connected to the outer world or external input output devices to drive the inputs or outputs. So that's why it's a bidirectional data bus. It has bidirectional data bus. It can be a bidirectional data bus. It can be used to read the data bytes or write the data byte according to your requirement. So every port has some latches and the driver circuits to interface with the external world or external circuitry. And another is this block, look into this DPTR, which is called data pointer. Basically it is used to operate the external memory devices. So if any external memory device is to be connected, so maximum 64 kilobytes of ROM or maximum 64 kilobytes of RAM can be connected. So 64 kilobytes means 2 to the power 16. So the 16 address line must be given, or 16 address line must be transferred to access any data byte from the external memory device. Okay, so that 16-bit address must be stored inside this register, which is called DPTR, 16-bit register, and this register can give the address to the program address register, and it accesses the input output external devices through these ports. Okay, external memory devices basically. So DPTR basically it used to access the external memory devices, RAM or ROM. And this is the stack pointer. So stack pointer, after every operation the stack pointer must be incremented by one during push operation, and decremented by 1 during pop operation. So any data byte can be given into this way, and it stores inside the RAM, because stack is always points to the RAM, 128 bytes of RAM. So any data byte which will be stored onto the stack, that must be stored inside the RAM actually. Okay, so that's why it is connected in this way. And here are in between this there are certain registers, those are called special function registers. So you can programmer, end user can use these registers for different purposes, because each special function register has its separate function to operate it. Okay, so clear up to this much, everyone? If you have any queries, any doubts, clear? If you have any queries, any doubts, you can ask me. Is it clear? Is this clear to everyone? Is this clear to everyone? Do you have any
Yes, sir.
any queries? Any queries regarding the architecture?
No, sir. Yes, sir, it's clear.
Anyone have any queries? Do you have any queries? Any doubts? Okay, if you don't have any queries, then I'll proceed to the next.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, sir, why microcontroller is needed? You can perform all the operations using microprocessor also. Why
Sorry,
is
can't
it
hear you clearly.
Sir, why microcontroller is needed? We can perform all the operations using microprocessor also. Why it
Microprocessor,
is required?
see, you are not aware of this lecture, I think. I have already told you the answer at the beginning. You have, if you want to connect any system with the microprocessor, you need to connect the microprocessor IC. You need to buy another memories, RAM and ROM externally. You need to buy ADC, DAC, or other peripheral circuitry like any IO devices. So you need to implement a separate components, and your design cost will be high, your circuit complexity will be much more. To minimize the cost and the circuit complexity as well as the faster operation, all of these things, your memories, your IO devices must be incorporated into a single IC. So if the external things, those are applicable in microprocessor, if these are internally situated, your operation will be much more faster than the microprocessor based system. Okay, your cost will be less. That's why
Sir,
microcontroller is needed.
only cost factor is responsible for.
No, or not only cost, your power consumption will be the second factor, your speed will be the third factor,
Okay, sir.
and the fourth is your uh, device size. Because microcontrollers are everywhere means from the range of microcontroller is from few millimeter, few micrometer. Okay, so the chip can be implemented anywhere. So that's why everything has to be controlled by the microcontroller in our home appliances, in every smart electronic devices. Otherwise the system will be much more larger.
Okay, sir.
Mm.
Sir,
Yes.
one question.
Mm.
Sir, can we make enhancement in microcontroller to build microprocessor? Like microprocessor has a larger extent of memory. Nowadays, we find that we are using Pentium and coprocessor, etc. So,
Huh.
can we use microcontroller to build that all capacity, or we can use
Do you need
microcontroller?
tell me one question.
Yeah.
If you want to access your AC or your fridge, do you need to operate it using Pentium processor or Core i3
No,
processor?
no,
If you want to access your TV channels, do you want to need Pentium processor or more advanced processor, i3, i5 processor, i7 processor?
no, sir.
Why?
Because use is too small that
Because you don't need to
we need not to handle.
access so much information, so much application. Only you just
Yes,
need to
yes,
access certain or specific purpose, specific function you
yes,
need to implement. Okay,
yes, sir.
so now to operate a specific function, you don't need to implement much more memory space, much more means the other components inside one system. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so that's why
Yes, sir.
that's where the microcontroller comes into picture.
Yes, sir. I'm asking that can we build a microprocessor by using microcontroller,
No, in
advanced
every
microprocessor?
microcontroller there must be one microprocessor. In
Oh,
every microcontroller there must be one microprocessor, one memory device, RAM and ROM, one few IO devices. So everything are on this 40 pin IC. And what is microprocessor based system? Only the processor is 40 pin IC. Other memory, RAM and ROM or IO devices are
outside,
external
yeah.
to the processor. That is the difference
Yes, sir.
between a microprocessor and microcontroller.
Yes, sir. Sir, last question is that can we add substitutory memory device like complementary memory device in microcontroller?
Obviously. That's why I'm given here that you can according to 8051, it's a 40 years
Yes,
back
sir.
microcontroller where 64 kilobytes of external memory you can connect maximum.
Okay, sir.
At
At the,
that time it was 64 kilobytes. Now microcontroller has been changed from that version to advanced version, so different memories can be implemented. Okay, so that you can expand your memory as per your requirement. You can add any flash memory, secondary storage device, anything as an external memory.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other question? Anyone has any doubts, any question? Do you have any queries? Do you have any queries? Okay, so we come to the next section. So here certain pins are already discussed. That means the port pins are available. P0 port 0 pins are available as dual function. It is used for dual purpose. One is it can be used as your IO port. Another is this can be used as your address, multiplex address and data bus. Okay, so these are basically 8 pins of port 0 as P0.0, P0.1, P0.2, P0.3, 0.4, 0.5, and this all the way up to 0.7. So every port bits can be used as per your requirement, and every port bits are connected in this way. So we can perform a byte operation 8 bit on the whole port 0. 8 bit port is available, 8 pins are available through which 8 data bit can be transferred. We can also access every bit of port 0 individually by performing bit operations like set or clear or complement, etc. And additionally, port 0 also as an alternate function, it carries the multiplex address and data bus. Sorry, it is here printing mistake. It's not given in this position. It will be AD0 to AD7. AD0 to AD7. Okay. So A0 to A7, that is the lower 8-bit address, and D0 to D7, that is the lower 8-bit data. Okay, or it's 8-bit data, lower 8-bit, it's 8-bit data because it's an 8-bit microcontroller, are multiplexed into AD0 to AD7. Now, if any operation address and data are not issued simultaneously, only one thing you have to perform. Either it can be used as your multiplex address and data bus, or it can be used as your input and output port, input or output port. Okay, not at the same time that input output port and multiplex address and data bus can be used. Okay, either this one, or either input output function or multiplex address or data bus function can be used. Now first, in any operation, okay, so what happened, first address is given, then data is transferred. Using a common bus for both reduces the number of pins. And to identify if the bus is carrying address or data, we must look at the ALE signal, address latch enable signal. And if ALE signal is 1, then bus carries address. And if ALE signal, here this ALE signal, if ALE signal is 0, the bus carries data. The same function with what was happened in 8085 microprocessor. ALE signal goes high if address is transferred, and if it is low, then at that time data will be transferred. That's why it is called a multiplex. It is used for demultiplexing the address and data bus. But this AD0 to AD7 will be applied if any external memory devices are connected. So these are not used as your address or data bus in case of internal operation, if internal memories are used. Okay, so remember this. In the same way, P1.0 to 1.1, these are same individual, it's 8-bit pins are available as port 1, and these are individually can perform either set or reset or complement, like P1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and all the way up to 1.7. In the same way for PP2.0 also, it is only for address transfer purpose, or either it is used for input output purpose. There is P3.0 to 3. So 8 pins are available for port 0, 8 pins are available for port 1, 8 pins are available for port 2, and 8 pins are available for port 3. Now port 3 has other alternate functions like 3P3.0. This bit can be used for serial port serial data receiving purpose, and P3.1 that is for serial data transmission purpose. Okay, and uh, P3.2 that is used for INT0 interrupt, and P3.3 that is INT1 interrupt, external interrupt processing. Sorry. Uh, P3.4 that is used for timer inputs, and 3.1 that is for another timer. It has two timers, so two timer can be accessed using T0 or T1 externally. And it has two control signals can be connected in this way. P3.6, which is called the write operation, it is used for write operation, and 3.7 is used for read operation. So there are two pins called VCC and ground pins are available. EA bar, external access pin, that is the very important function. It has very important function. EA bar, the function is actually it is used to access the external memory. Now it decides whether the first 4 kilobytes of program memory space now will be assigned to internal ROM or external ROM. Okay, because you have 4 kilobytes of internal ROM. Now maximum 64 kilobytes of external device can be ROM can be connected. But if you have only if you have on chip 4 kilobytes of ROM, maximum 60 kilobytes of external ROM can be connected, so that the total number of memory space will be 64. Okay, so either 4 kilobytes on chip and 60 kilobytes of chip ROM can be used, or you can access or you can connect full 64 kilobytes of external IC by ignoring or by discarding the on chip 4 kilobyte memory. Now if EA bar equals to 0, that means external ROM begins from 0000 to FFFF. Clear? And if EA bar is 1, that means the external ROM begins from 1000, because less than 1000 is for on chip 4 kilobyte memory, that is from 0000 to 0FFF. So after 0FFF, the remaining portion is outside of the on chip ROM, that is from 1000. So from 1000 to the last one, for FFFF, these are obviously in external side. Okay, and that can be decided by this signal, whether it is internal ROM or external ROM. That can be decided by EA bar, external enable external access. PSEN bar, that is used for program store enable, and if any external ROM must be connected with this system, this signal must be connected to the output enable pin of that memory device. Output enable pin of that memory device. Okay. Reset pin, that is used to connect the reset signal, and if it is used, then PC program counter becomes 0000, and the addresses is called the reset vector addresses. These addresses are called the vector addresses, and from here 8051 executes the BIOS program, also called the booting program or the monitor program. It is used to set up the system and make it ready to be used by the end user or programmer. That is the operation of reset signal. And crystal 1, crystal 2, xtel 1, xtel 2, these are connected to the crystal oscillator circuit, which gives the operating frequency as 12 megahertz. But for serial communication, in serial communication based applications, the operating frequency is chosen to be 11.0592 megahertz, 11.0592 megahertz, in order to derive the standard universal baud rate. Okay, if it is connected via serial communication technique. So these are the pin description of 8051 microcontroller. Next is the memory organization of 8051. Memory organization of 8051. Now, a memory can be divided into program memory and data memory as per Harvard architecture. Now, program memory means where the program is to be stored, instruction code, everything, instructions must be stored. And data memory means where your data or operand part is stored. Okay, so your data is stored. Now, program memory is basically the ROM, which can be internal, can be external. So internal is 4 kilobyte on chip ROM is available. External maximum you can connect it as 64 kilobyte. In the same way, data memory means the RAM portion, which has in this case 128 bytes of on chip RAM is available, whereas you can connect it maximum 64 kilobyte as your external RAM device. Okay, so here ROM organization is or it's called the code memory, or it's called the program memory. Okay, so how this will be operated, we will discuss. Actually, what happened basically, so 8051 operates with 4 different memories. Which type of memory? Either internal ROM or external ROM or internal RAM or external RAM. Is it clear? Now, what happened in this case, ROM? Here, permanent data are stored. Okay, permanent data such as ASCII codes for 7-segment display code, or some lookup table has to be stored inside this ROM position, in ROM portion. Okay, so this will not be changed. Like, as for example, in our daily life, in like AC, air conditioner, what is how the AC will function? Everything is to be given inside the ROM, and the current temperature or the fan speed, these are the data which will be stored inside RAM. So how the machine will operate the temperature, it is based on the programming. So that program should not be changed anytime. It is fixed, it is given inside the, it is permanent, given inside the ROM. But if you press the temperature button, if you want to increase or decrease the room temperature, or if you want to decrease or increase the fan speed, or different functions are also incorporated into our current AC system. So everything, these are randomly changed, so that current data, current fan speed, everything, current temperature, these are every time stored inside RAM. And whenever you switch on every time the AC machine, this temperature will be changed. So these are volatile in nature. That's why these are stored inside RAM. But the actual program should not be changed anytime. It remains same if you can if you have power off the device. So the permanent program or data must be stored inside ROM, and the random data which is changed frequently, these are stored inside RAM. Now ROM can be divided in this according to this diagram. Either only internal can be accessed, or internal and external both can be accessed, or can be accessed as external only. How? Suppose if only internal ROM is considered, this one, the first thing. So it has 4 kilobyte internal ROM. Now, in many cases, the size is sufficient and there is no need for connecting external ROM. Such system use only internal ROM of 8051. Now, all addresses from 0000 to 0FFF, this will be accessed from the internal ROM. Now, any address beyond that will be invalid. Any address beyond that means after 0FFF, what address will become? 1000, 1000. So from 1000 to FFFF, all these address ranges are not present inside this one. So that is so if you want to access any address from 1000 to FFFF, that will be invalid. In such system, EA bar must be 1, so that internal ROM must be accessed at that time. So it is called external access. So external access should be active low. If 0 is there, then external access can be found. That means external memory is you need to access. But if you don't want to access the external, only internal, this pin should be 1 high. And if it is high, that means no external access is to be given. So only internal access is given, and you can operate the internal addresses inside this 4 kilobyte internal ROM. So it is specifically only for internal on chip 4 kilobyte ROM. Now consider the second case where you can use both internal and external ROM device. What happened? It has 4 kilobyte of internal ROM. It has another maximum. In many cases, what happened? This size is maybe insufficient, and we may need to add some external ROM. Such systems use a combinations of internal ROM and external ROM. The total ROM that can be accessed is 64 kilobyte, because not more than 64 kilobyte can be accessed. So already if you have 4 kilobyte ROM, then maximum 60 kilobyte can be added to this, so that the total memory space must be 64 kilobyte in size. Now since we are using the internal ROM of 4 kilobyte and maximum amount of external ROM that can be connected to 60 kilobyte, all addresses from 0000 to 0FFF will be accessed from internal ROM, and addresses from 1000 to FFFF will be accessed from external ROM. In such cases, EA bar should be 1. Okay, so when EA bar is 1, that means if you want to access 1000, suppose any data byte which is present in 2000 memory location, and you have given comment that you need to access the data byte from 2000 memory location. Okay, so basically you need to apply it 1. So microcontroller goes into the external 2000 memory location, which is obviously in this position, not in this position. So it goes into the external ROM and fetch the data byte from this one. Okay, so it is here, but you need to access the external also. Now consider the third case where you need to totally discard the internal ROM, only external ROM you need to access. Okay, in that case, what happened? The program stored in this internal ROM may have become invalid or outdated, or the system may need to be upgraded. So that's why you need to connect external memory with your system, and you need to access only external memory addresses, external memory data bytes. Okay, you don't want to access any internal data byte. That's why it remains off. Internal ROM must be in off position, and external memory should be on position. And if you want to access external memory device, this EA bar pin should be low. That means if this pin is 0, that means microcontroller always try to access the external ROM memory locations. Okay, so full addresses means 0000 to FFFF. All these addresses are in external ROM. So if this EA bar is 0, so any data from these external memory locations can be accessed at any time. Okay, so that is the ROM organization using 3 different cases. Next, consider the internal RAM structure. So how the RAM look like? So it is basically 128 bytes of internal RAM. Now these are 128 locations of 1 byte each. The address ranges from 002 to 7F. Clear? Now this RAM is used for storing data. It is divided into 3 main parts. Register banks. These are from register 0, 1, 2, 3. So register banks are available. Second is the bit addressable area, and third position is, third part is general purpose area, or it's called the scratchpad RAM. Now it is divided into three categories: this one, and this one. Consider the lowest category, with lowest part, which is called the register bank. Now the first 32 locations from 00 to 1F, these are first 32 locations, because each bank is 8 byte. Each bank is 8 byte. So 32 bytes are available. So each bank is 8 bytes, means R0, R1, these are the individual registers in bank 0. Again, for bank 1 there is R0 to R7. Again, this bank 2 there is R0 to R7, and again this bank 3 R0 to R7. Now when you need to perform any operation, any programming, you have to mention which bank you have to select it initially. Otherwise, microprocessor always starts with the by default bank 0. It takes the R0, R1 as default registers. Okay, so you need to initialize your program using the bank selection, whether bank 0 is selected, or bank 1, or bank 2, or bank 3, because for each bank the register names are same from R0 to R7. So 8 registers are available for bank 0, 8 registers are available for bank 2, bank 3. So having so many general purpose registers makes programming easier and faster. So how many registers we have? 32 registers are available. So if you have more number of registers, so operation will be more faster and more easier. But it has some disadvantage, like this also vastly increases the number of opcodes. Okay, number of opcodes for R0 to R7. Again, from this R0 to R7, so it increases the opcodes. Hence, the 32 registers are divided into 4 banks, each having 8 registers for R0 to R7. The first 8 locations are for R0 to for 00 to 07 for bank 0, and from 08 to 0F locations are for bank 1, for 10 to 17 for bank 2, and from 18 to 1F, that is for bank 3. So you can access a registered name by calling it R0, or you can access the memory location of that particular register R0, 00. So you can access the data byte either using R0 name, like move A, R0. You can write it also, or it can be given as your address, like move A, 00. Both are same. Move A, R0 and move A, 00, both are same. Okay, so move A, R0 means a register gets data from register R0, and move A, 00 means register A gets data from memory location 00. Both are same. So you have such flexibility for programming purpose. Okay, and different banks has been selected by the PSW bits, RS0 and RS1. There is a bits. There are 2 bits in PSW flag register in 8051, RS0 and RS1 bits. Now, according to the combinations of these 2 bits, the required number of banks will be selected. Okay. Second is the bit addressable area, where the 16 bytes are available. 16 bytes are available, and these are also called memory location 20 to 20F. Now, this can be accessed as your bit positions also. Now, in 20 memory address, 20 address bit 20, it has again 00, 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, 07 bits, which can be programmable. Either you can set this bit, either you can set this bit, or you can set this bit. Either you can load 0 into this bit, only 0. Okay, or either you can load 1 into 5 of this bit. Okay, so that's why we can perform ordinary type byte operation on these locations, as well as bit operations. Okay, as each location has 8 bits, we have a total 16 into 8 that is 128 addressable bits. Okay, so we have 16 bytes locations, and each location is 8 bits wide. So 16 into 8. So how many number of bits are available? Total 128 bits are available, addressable bits. Now these bits can be addressed using their individual address from 00 to 7F. Okay, these are also accessible by the addresses called 00 to 7F. Like these bits can be addressed using their individual address, as for example set B 00. Set B 00 will store a 1 on the LSB of location 20. Okay, set B 00. Okay, but that means set B 00, that is the instruction, means set bit 00. So this 00 bit will be 1 only. Or we can write it as CLR 07. CLR 07. That means this will store 0 in this, on the MSB bit of the location 20. MSB bit of the location 20. So we can access individual bits of individual memory locations. Okay. So normal byte operations can also be performed at the addresses 20H to 20F. These bytes addressable can be there. Like for example, we can write it as move 20, hash 00. Okay. So from this memory location 00, that will store 20 in this memory location as 00. So all bits will be 00000000. Okay, if you want to access the full 8 bits of that particular location as 0, you can access it by byte operation. Or if you want to access a particular bit of that memory location, you can use the bit addressable instructions. It's clear. So the next is the general purpose area. The ranges is from 30H to 7F. Now this is an 80 bytes of area which can be used for general data storage, which can be given to you, to the programmer. Okay, to the programmer. Now one thing I need to discuss it here. Another is the stack of 8051. Another important element of the internal RAM is the stack. So stack is a set of memory locations in RAM which operates in last in first out structure. It is basically used to store return addresses during interrupt service routines, and also used by the programmer to store data during any operation, any program execution. So in 8051, the stack can only be present in the internal RAM. Now this is because stack pointer, which is a 8-bit register, can only contain an 8-bit address, and external RAM has 16-bit address. Okay, so that's why here the stack is initialized in this position, this 07, so that 08, 09, 0F, all these addresses are required to store the data byte as per requirement. Okay, so the address is 8-bit in size. All the RAM addresses, internal RAM addresses, are 8-bit in size. Now stack pointer is a 8-bit register in architecture of 8051 microcontroller. It's an 8-bit register. Now if stack pointer register is of 8-bit in size, so it cannot be executed the external memory as RAM, because external memory has always 16-bit address to access it. Okay, so that's why stack pointer or stack memory location will be initialized or it is fixed inside the RAM, okay. And how this will be operated now on what happened on reset signal. If applying reset signal, stack pointer is initialized with 07 memory address. Now after that, stack pointer is changed by every push and pop operation according to this structure. Like if you want to push anything into the stack, so stack pointer will be incremented by 1 and new data will be stored. And if you want to pop any data from the stack, so stack pointer must be decremented by 1. Here it is given as, this is the real register bank which has the memory location 07. It is initialized by stack pointer register. Now it holds this address. Now if you want to store any data byte, it can be stored from this memory location 08, the next memory location. So from here the data will be stored, next data will be stored on next memory location, next data will be stored into next memory location in this way. And if you want to access it, so last in first out, so the stack pointer will be decremented by 1 every time, decremented by 1 every time if it is used to pop or retrieve the data. Okay, so that is the operation of stack. Now clear up to this much, everyone? Clear? Is it clear up to this much? Are you clear it? Any confusion? Do you have any confusion, any queries? Do you have any queries?
Sir.
Yes. Do you have any doubt? Any question? Any question from anyone? Any question from anyone? Okay, so that's all for today. That's all for today. So see you on next week. And one announcement I have to announce here right now. From next week, all of you must attend the lab classes through Zoom. That's why you need to install GNU Sim 8085 simulator on your system. I have given the link or downloaded link to your Google Classroom. So all of you must download that simulation software, and you must read the tutorial, how can you use it. And if you have any queries, any confusion about the simulator, you can ask me on that day. I will inform the scheduled class timing for Google Classroom, and we will start the lab session on from that day. Okay, so Shomik, are you present here? Shomik?
Yes, sir.
Are you listening?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so can you message me or can you mail me what was your last experiment on the lab? On your lab, what was your last experiment? Not now, you can tell me anytime.
Serial
and on that day lab must be performed using full class. Okay, there will be no group separation from first, so group 1, group 2, both half 30-30. So every students must be involved on that day, because your lab will be performed on a single day with once a week. Okay, so no separation of groups will be there. So everyone must perform, must attend this with your system, with your laptop or desktop, what you have, and you must perform and screen share your program execution. So CR from both groups, you must inform me what was your last experiment, lab experiment. Okay, over WhatsApp, or you can mail me anytime.
Hello,
Link
sir.
to, hello,
sir.
hello, yes, yes.
Hello, sir. Sir, can I join that lab class using my PC as well as my mobile? As in my PC, I don't have my mic, so I can't speak
Yes,
if
yes,
I
yes,
use only
yes,
my
yes.
PC.
To run the simulator or software, you need that PC, and to communicate with me, you can use the mobile.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So any question regarding your regarding this lecture as well as the lab schedule information? Do you have any doubts, any queries? So all of you must ready with the simulator. Okay. And both seers must inform me the last experiment which you have performed in your lab. Okay. So thank you all. Okay. See you on next
Yes,
week.
sir.
Thank you.